Alright, so mates, this is me wearing my butt pad, my hip and butt pad, and this is where I am not wearing it, so you can see the differences. Now, the measurement we are going to be needing is number one, we're having the waist measurement, the round waist measurement. That's the waist circumference of your client. Please ensure to measure because everybody's size is not the same. We're also going to be needing the hip measurement, the original hip before the pattern, the hip measurement. And from the side where you have used to have the side seam, you come into the front by 5 inches for a normal person. But if you're working with a size 6 or size 8, you can do 4 inches. Now, to get the underbutt, you measure from the back waist to the underbutt. Yes, where the butt went inside. You take that measurement as well. Ensure to measure because everybody's size is not the same. Now, to get the length of the padding, you can come down from the underbutt by 2 to 3 inches, depending on how exaggerated the person or your client wants it to be. You understand? But for this tutorial, I just came down by 2 to 3 inches, just like I said. So this is me now showing you all the measurements, the way you can go about having your measurements when you want to do your hip pad. Alright, so mates, we are going to be using a pant for this so that you can rock it with your palazzo trouser, your Ankara piece, your lace piece and all of that. I've gone ahead to mark my hip line and my crotch line. So this is me now trying to get my hip measurements. Mind you, if you are going to be cutting this, you use that your new measurements. That's your butt pad measurements for this. Just like we have calculated just like we have done before. So this is me now measuring I've gone ahead to square up the hip measurements, and from that hip measurement you measure your waist, you take your waist measurement. You understand? So to get your crotch length, normally is your hip divided by 4. And now the hip you are going to use for this now is that your new hip, the new hip that you want to achieve. That's where you're going to divide by 4. And to get the crotch line, you divide that your hip that you divided by 4, you divide it by 4 again. For instance, if I'm having a hip of 44, 44 divided by 4 is 11. And if I divide that for 11 again by 4, I'm going to be getting 2.75 or thereabout. So that is what I have done. Now I'm measuring that part to get the midpoint so that we can use the midpoint to get the round knee. So for this pants, I use a length of 19 inches. It's just more like a tight like that. I use a length of 19 inches, and this is me taking the lines straight down. So from there, I'll measure what I'm having. Now, these are the measurements we'll be needing. Our actual waist is 32 divided by 4. Our hip, that's original hip, is 41 divided by 4. Our new hip now is going to be 43 divided by 4. So the reason why we're using 43 is because we're using a half-inch foam. Yes, if you're using a 1-inch foam, that means you're going to be having 4 inches added to your hip, your original hip measurement by the time you are done. So we are using a half-inch foam. That is why we are having we're going to now be adding 2 inches. That's half multiplied by 4. We are going to be having 2 inches. So the extra we are adding to our hip is 2 inches. You understand? And also for your lap, mind you, if you added your hip, you are going to still be adding at the lap. Our original lap is 26 inches, and I am going to be increasing it by 2 inches. That's going to be giving me 28 inches. So I'm going up to square up the pant measurements. As you can see, please, this is not a pants tutorial, guys. I'm still going to be doing a pants tutorial on this channel, and that one is going to be very detailed. So we are trying to rush this up so that we can get to the padding proper. So now I'm using my pattern master, my pattern curve, to curve up my crouch line, and we are done for the front. So I'm going to be cutting it out, and we'll use it to cut out the back piece. All right. So I'm going to be cutting it out and using the back piece. Now to achieve the back piece, you come in by 1.5 inches and you go up by 1.5 inches because the butt is entering inside. It's not the same as the front. So you consider all those measurements before taking your back measurement. You come in by 1/2 inch and you go up by you come in by 1.5 inches and you go up by 1.5 inches. Also, the back crouch area is going to be longer than that of the front with 1.5. This is still because of the butt allocation, so that we can accommodate our butt, because we're not having a butt at the front. So that is why the front piece is not the way the back piece is. So from your crotch line for the front, you come down by 1/2 inch so that the butt can sit properly on that crouch. So this is me now connecting it to that 1/2 inch, as you can see. All right, so moving further, you now take your measurements and add 1 inch seam allowance or 1/2 inch seam allowance, depending, for the back piece, because the back is always bigger than the front when it comes to pants and trousers. So to ascertain the back crouch, we went in with 1.5 inches from the front crouch. So we'll now raise up the front and then use our free hand to give it a curve from that 1.5 inches that we went inside. You are going to see what I am talking about by the time we get there. So this is me now squaring up the back piece, adding my 1 inch seam allowance around the sides, as you can see. So now we are going to now curve out that back crouch. So this is me now. I've done it. If you saw, when I'm going to remove this, you are going to see. So I went further to add 1.5 inches zipper allowance for the back, and I've cut it on my fabric. All right, so mates, let's move further to the hip padding proper. So from where you have that your hip, you just square it down. We're going to use this pants pattern to cut it up. So where you have that hip, you cut it off, because we're not going to be using that side. So I'm going to use this paper to cut out both the front butt and the back butt. So from your hip line, from the waistline, first of all, from the waistline, you come down by 1.5 inches. You can do 2 inches, but I prefer using 1.5 inches because it works fine for me. And from the hip, you come in at the side seam by 5 inches. Then from the length of this pant, I went up by 3 inches. If you can see very well. So we're now going to connect these 3 lines together. The 1.5 inches we came down with, the 5 inches we came in from the side seam for the hip area, and the 3 inches I went up with from the pants length. So this is me now using my pencil to make it more elaborate so that people can see. As you can see, so these are the lines. I've gone ahead to mark them. Now I will use this pattern to also cut the back, and I'll be using a marker for the back for better understanding. So from the zipper allowance of your back, you come in by 1 inch. That's from the center back. You come in by 1 inch. Then around the seam area, that's where you measure your underbutt. Yes, the underbutt that I showed you guys in the beginning of this video. Then around that underbutt, you come in by 3 inches. You come in by 3 inches or 4 inches, depending on the size you are working with. If it's a normal size, you do 3 inches, but if it's a bigger size, you can use 4. So now you connect from that 1.5 inches you came down from at the up, connect it to that 1 inch at the zipper at the center back, then connect it to that 3 inches you came in from the underbutt, and now take it down to where the length of the pad is going to be. So I'm now using my marker to make sure that it is very pronounced for you guys to see. So we know that our back butt is not straight and flat like the way the front is. So we have to give it that shape of a butt so that everything will sit and be perfect. So this is me now using my marker to mark it out and labeling it also. So I'm going to cut off the back first and then use the back to cut the back foam before I will now cut the front. Please ensure to label and ensure to put your arrow so that you know where the up is and where the front is, so that you won't get confused, because things like this can be very confusing actually. So this is me now. I've cut out the back. I've cut what we are having out. I have already cut it out. So after using the back to cut out the back foam, I will now cut it off and cut for the front. So I'll cut the foam now and bring it to show us. Okay, so mates, this is me now. Yes, showing you people what we are having. So you see, I've gone ahead now to cut out the foams, and please make sure to label your ups and down so that you know where is at the up and where is at the down. So this is where the work begins. So mate, you trim and trim and trim and trim so that you have a flat addition, so that nobody will know what is going on around there. Hey, if you don't do this one right, it's not going to be funny. So this is the trimming process. You trim, and make sure that what you trim at the other side of it is what you are having at the other side. Everything must be equal. So this is me now going ahead to trim and trim and trim and trim, and after trimming, I'm going to add my stay. I'm going to iron stay. You can use stay or paper stay. You can use any of it to make it flat and sit well. All right, so mates, if you have watched this video to this end and you have not subscribed, tell me what you are waiting for. Please subscribe to my channel, like this video and share, so that people will know that this video is actually having value, so that people know that this girly is actually giving us something that is nice. So now I'm going further now to okay, I've gone ahead to iron the stay like I told you guys. So this is me now joining each of it together respectively. Please make sure to label. I put it together and I label where I'm having the right and the left, because if you don't do it like this, you are going to mistake where is where, and you end up having two parts for one side of the butt, and it's not going to be funny. So after joining all of it up, I'm going to sew a stitch round, yes, to make this the outer part of it more flat, so that everything will be very, very accurate. All right guys, I've gone ahead to make this stitch. As you can see, I've gone ahead to make, like I did, 2 to 3 line stitch very close to each other around that part, as you can see. And I went further to add a little bit of foaming inside it so that it can give me a fuller hip. I did that around the sewing, the seam area. So this is me now going further to join up the pants. Whenever you're joining your pants, you make sure you start from the crouch. You join up the crouch first. So I've joined that of the front. I'm now joining the back using a loose stitch to cover up the zipper allowance that I left, because we're going to be adding a zip to this pant. Using a loose stitch to cover up the zipper allowance before I will now continue to finish up the crouch for the back. All right, so mates, if you are going to be doing this and you are using a very stretchy fabric, I used a very stretchy fabric, please ensure don't add allowances to your main clothes. Then if you are using a stretchy fabric also for the lining, you just cut it out with what you are having. It is going to be all right. You can only add allowance when maybe you are using a cotton lining or a cotton material for this hair. You cannot add your the new hip you want to activate, the new hip you want to actualize. You now add your allowances to that. That's, you use the new hip to achieve that. But if you are using a stretchy fabric, there's no need. Just put your new hip and continue with what you are doing. So now I've gone ahead to join them up, the front, the main material and the lining. So this is me now bringing it to show you guys. I will now bring the lining and the pad that we have already made. I will now come down by 1.5 inches that we came down from the waist while we were drafting it. I will now bring the seam of this pad and put it straight in the seam of the lining to join it up. Guys, this is where the work is starting. So this is me now using my chalk to map out that 1.5 inches, and I will make sure to put the side seam of the pad and the side seam of the pants should be aligned. You top stitch it. You can see me, I'm going to give it a straight stitch around that part. It's not easy, guys, but it is just simple. It's kind of tricky, but if you follow it gently with patience, you are going to get there. So this is me now placing it and opening it up. While you are sewing, you make sure that your lining piece, or wherever you're adding your pad, you make sure that you are opening the seam up, so that you will not have, maybe you join this one and that one and it will not be okay. So you have to make sure that you open up the seams and everything will align. So this is me now joining it up, as you can see. All right, then after joining it up, I'll still bring it out and top stitch round, like give it that round butt shape. Stop stitch it so that everything will lay flat, so you'll not be having some that will be standing and some that will be sitting. So this is what I'm telling you about Sew-Mate. We'll continue with the sewing, and this time around, if you are sewing, you make sure you're pulling your butt pad and pulling the lining, so that everything will sit firm and everywhere will just relax and be giving you what you are supposed to be getting. So this is what I am talking about. This is me patiently and gently rounding it up with the stitch so that it will sit firm. So I will do this round for one side of it, and I will do the other one off camera and bring it to show us. While you are doing this, make sure that you're not having any clothes like obstructing, so that you will not sew what you're not supposed to sew, or you will not sew something that is maybe join this one, and that you just take it easily. You can as well use your pins to secure them up before you stitch. I used my pins, and before you sew, you remove your pins to make sure that what you are having in all the sides, they are accurate. After doing this, I'll still show us what I am insinuating, what I'm talking about. So you can see the sense that we are making in all of this talking. So I've done stitching it. This is what I have. You see what I mean? When you lay it flat, everywhere, both the front and the back, should be all accurate, like So I'll now do the other one and then bring it to show us. Now this is what we are having. I've done the other side. I've done the both of the sides. You understand? I've done the both of the sides. What is remaining now is to join the lining piece and the main material, then zip it up. That's join our zipper, then hem the waistline, and hem up the down line, the hem of the pants. So this is what we are having at the back, and this is the back of it already. We are having it like this because the front of this lining and the front of the main piece is going to be showing. So automatically, this padding is going to be hidden inside this lining and inside the main material. So this is what we are having, guys, just as you can see. So this is me now trying to infuse it in the way it is going to be, so that I can arrange it up and then get my zipper and stitch it in, and voila, we are almost getting done with this class. So this is what we are having, guys. This is me making sure that everything aligns. The side seam of the lining and the side seam of the pants should be equal. So guys, don't forget I said if you are going to be using a very stretchy fabric to make this, don't add any allowance. Just use your normal new hip allowance and do what you want to do. Because I used a stretchy fabric and I added my allowances. I ended up sewing more than I was supposed to, and I found out that I had to cut the excess seam allowance, and I cut it out. So it is going to save you much material, you understand? So that is what we are going to do. Now this is me now placing the zip and matching it up, as you can see. Alright, I'll now go ahead to the sewing table and hem up every part of it. Join the zip, hem up the down, hem the waistline, and bring it to show us. You see, we have not even finished and everything is giving what it is supposed to be giving. This is the front side. This is the front, guys. You see what it is looking like. You can see. Alright, I've gone ahead to pull my zipper and I've gone ahead to hem the waistline. This is the final look, guys. If you do this the way we have done it and you patiently join it up the way it is, even if you are using it on an Ankara, you can still do it the same method. Yes, seam lines to seam line, and that is it. You are going to have it very neat like this. Okay, guys. Thank you for watching this video to this far. See you in my next one.